Welcome back. Welcome back to the Letters and Layers podcast. Welcome to any new listeners. This is your host, Amaka. It is Wednesday, early afternoon when I'm recording. It's just about to be noon on the 13th. I just finished my morning. As far as patients go, I have another block of a few hours in the afternoon where I will see some more. But on Wednesdays, I tend to have a long afternoon break of about 3 to 4 hours. And I wanted to devote some of the time this morning to recording. So, how am I doing? I am doing okay. I feel like I have moments where I feel like I could be doing better. I am just kind of thinking of the end of the year and starting to reflect. So this is very much something I do as we start to kind of round out the last quarter and the year as a whole. Start to think about where I am with certain things, where I would like to be, what I might still need to do. So just trying to kind of put my best foot forward, not be too hard on myself, and just know that with the changing of the seasons, my level of motivation might fluctuate a little bit more. I might have to work a little bit harder, and that's okay. I think it's interesting, though, because as we approach January and New Year's, a lot of what is focused on or highlighted in society and American culture is, it's a new year, New Year's resolutions, deciding on new goals, new objectives, trying to find a way to motivate yourself and inspire yourself with new things, or maybe past goals that you hadn't met and you want to give it another go. But I wonder if the winter time, especially January, which is like dead winter, I wonder if it is naturally the right time to be setting goals, because as far as, where we live, winter is a time of hibernation. Winter is a time of the leaves falling, the trees being bare, everything about nature. As far as like where we live with the transition of the seasons tells me that my immediate environment is going into hibernation. And it's less about deciding on new goals and objectives and more about prioritizing self-care, really, and taking care of yourself and not being too hard on yourself and just being focused on stability and sustaining yourself. So I was just thinking about that. I'm like, we put so much emphasis on the new year, meaning new year, new me, new goals, new achievements. But I wonder if we would be better served by using the cues that our immediate environment gives us. And I know, depending on where you live, the weather is different, but I'm taking cues from where I live and where I grew up, which is the East Coast and the Northeast specifically, and the Midwest where I'm currently in Chicago. And I have always known the weather to transition every few months. And I wonder if we would be better off mentally and emotionally if we took a chapter or took a page out of nature, and how it functions. Because everything is in hibernation or is about to go into hibernation. And when we see new leaves, new trees, a revival of our world around us, that's around March, April, when you start to see the buddings of the leaves and you start to see some green again and things come back to life. So, it's an interesting thought exercise, but I pretty much say all that to say I am doing the best I can in this moment in time. I wouldn't be completely honest if I said that the outcome of the US election did not affect me. It very much did. I was rooting for Vice President Harris, but as we all are aware, that was not the outcome. And I am just thinking back to how things were with the presidency of Donald Trump in 2016 to 2020. And I remember, just with most of the things that I did, just day to day, always hearing about him, what he's doing, what's going on in the news. It was almost like there was an unspoken cloud or burden that I and, like-minded people around me were kind of carrying. We're still doing what we got to do. We are keeping up with life. We are meeting our goals and responsibilities and demands, but it's like we have to do all that while, kind of like pushing through mud almost, because existentially there is this force that we are actively fighting against. So what really kind of brought me down last week was the shock of the fact that we are back here, and I'm strictly talking about myself personally. Couldn't believe that we were back here, to be quite honest. When President Biden took over in 2020, I never thought that this would be where we find ourselves again, So I am thinking back to how things were for me during Donald Trump's first term. And I am thinking about personal changes that I want to make with the upcoming second term. And, there's no way for me to know the political affiliation of my audience. This podcast is focused and catered to Black women. That's who I think of when I do this. And based off of the data that I've seen, it appears that an overwhelming majority of Black women, felt the same way that I did and were in support of the candidate that I was in support of. So my impression and my thoughts are that, like me, there are so many Black women that are disheartened and disappointed and saddened by the outcome of the election. So the first couple of days were tough for me. I think I was just going through processing my shock about the fact that we were back here. And after that kind of wore off, I started to think more rationally and kind of put a game plan in place, honestly, about what was I going to do? What was I going to do as an American citizen who is not in support of the incoming administration, but will have to live under it? what am I going to do as a Black woman in this position? And, I was thinking back to his first term and things I want to do differently this time around. Because I think one lesson, or something that maybe I've always known, but is in the forefront of my mind right now, is that I really just need to prioritize myself and my well-being, and really just turn inward in certain ways that maybe I didn't before. So I want to share some thoughts, some strategies, some tools I think I'm really going to employ moving forward for my sanity, for my sanity to be able to continue to function, to be able to continue to work, to be able to continue to reach my goals and everything I want to do. Because that existential force that we, dealt with is now a reality again. And I want to figure out how to approach things this time around. Because as much as this was not what I wanted, and I feel pretty okay in saying that with a large portion of my audience, this is not what we wanted. This is not our first rodeo. So there are lessons that I have learned, and I want to share them with those who are listening and are under the sound of my voice. A major change that I want to kind of put in place, which I've been more lax about in the past, is just my relationship to social media, particularly Twitter. I don't like calling it X. That does not compute in my mind. So I have been a Twitter user off and on for several years. And I was more dialed in to the platform this year with the election and President Biden dropping out, and then, just everything shifting. So I wanted to be connected to like any and all updates about the Harris campaign. And being that was not the outcome that we got, I have since deactivated my Twitter. And, I would be lying if I said that I have not thought about signing back in, because once you deactivate, they keep it on, quote unquote, for 30 days. So even though I have deactivated my Twitter, I could sign in right now and still have everything. But I know for me, that is only going to negatively impact my mental and emotional state. That is only going to exacerbate any anxiety that I'm feeling already. And I do remember with Donald Trump's first term, a lot of the stress and anxiousness that I felt with his administration came from the content that I was consuming online. I remember Twitter playing a big role with that. So, like I said, this is not our first rodeo. I am thinking back to how I did things then and what I want to do differently now. So that definitely includes not being on Twitter as far as, content goes and what I'm consuming. And honestly, I feel like that has helped already. It's been a few days. I don't remember what day I deactivated it. I think it was maybe last Friday. But I think it has been helpful, and I will definitely update you guys if things change. But Even when I have an urge to sign in before the deactivation period is over, I just remember how much it just negatively affects how I feel and, worsens any anxiousness I may have. So that has helped me to stay off the platform. And as far as TikTok goes, that's another weakness of mine. And I have recommitted to, not having it be so easily accessible to me. And what do I mean by that? Not having it readily available on my phone. I have not decided to completely disengage from TikTok. I do like the platform. And I've curated my algorithm or whatever to, show me things that I like. So it's just a matter of being more diligent in not letting it take up so much of my time. But when I am on the app, I am diligent in actively expressing disinterest to any content that I do not want to see. And I think that will be helpful in maintaining and having, as I don't want to use the word normal, but just maintaining stability, honestly. I don't watch any cable news. I haven't in a really long time. If I really watch anything, it's maybe MSNBC, just because I like some of the personalities on that network. But I don't really rely on cable news for news. I am trying to seek out outlets that are neutral. And when I say neutral, I mean just give you the news with no particular slant and, just provide the information. And there are some personalities on TikTok that do offer that. So I have been intentional in following them because they just give the news as it is. They don't really present it in any particular way. So honestly, I am just trying to shore up my access to content and information in a way that I will be able to digest it and it will not impact me mentally in a negative way. And I just wanted to share that with you guys. I think now more than ever, and moving into this new administration, to whatever degree that you have control over what you hear, what you see, what you consume on the internet and social media at large, I encourage you to take that role seriously for yourself and, see how that helps. Another thing that I am being incredibly purposeful about moving forward is community and connection and reaching out and building that even more. Community has been a running theme with All About Love, which we've been talking about. And, I've talked about the importance of friendships on this podcast, but I think it is going to be that much more important to take care of ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I mean Black women. It's going to be so much more important to take care of ourselves and take care of our loved ones and the people in our community who we hold dear. We already do a pretty good job with that. I would never want to be anything else. It is the greatest gift to be a Black woman and to be a part of this community. And we do a pretty good job anyway, but I think this new reality will just give us more motivation and more of a push to look out for each other. Be more intentional about person to person, in-person connection, checking in with each other, helping each other within our capacity that, in however we can. Just loving on each other, just reminding each other that we have our back. We have each other's back. And we have overcome hard situations before. And we have always done it as a community and with each other. And amidst difficult situations, we continue to thrive. So I just wanted to make that a point as well, because honestly, we're all we have. We're all we have, truly. If help and support comes from places where we don't expect, that's great. That is amazing. But at the end of the day, we have each other, and we have to look out for each other, and we have to take care of each other. And that is one really important way of continuing to move forward. Those are the thoughts that are on my mind as far as how I plan to take it step by step and continue to stay inspired, continue to stay motivated, regardless of what is happening around me or existentially. It's about monitoring and being intentional about what I am consuming, how I'm consuming it, being present in the moment, and being intentional and purposeful about tapping into and taking care of my community, because we will take care of each other. So I hope that helps. I hope that offered some encouragement. If you are in a similar position as me and you are feeling a little bit down or disillusioned or uninspired, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. We have to take care of ourselves and take care of each other. And my hope and my prayer is we will see the other side in one piece. So, moving on. I am going to continue my conversation with All About Love with the next episode, because I watched Megan's documentary on Amazon Prime last week, and I really want to talk about it. I was watching for entertainment, as I'm sure majority of people were, but I was also watching as someone in the mental health space, and was kind of just thinking through, as I was watching, how much this young woman has endured. She lost her mom in her early 20s. Her father was incarcerated for a good amount of time in her childhood. When he finally was released, he, not long after, suffered a heart attack and he passed away. And then Megan lost her mom maybe 15 or so years later in her early 20s. And then she lost her grandmother not long after that. So it is just, for her to go through so much loss of such important people in her life, that alone would do some people in. Like, there are people who would, if they were to kind of go through that, they wouldn't survive, many people, understandably so. So to kind of see that and see that she continued to push on, she says that she did not want to let her mom down, even in death, because her mom kept encouraging her to keep going, like, pursue what you want. If this is what you want, don't let anything get in your way. So I see that she took that to heart, and she did not let anything keep her from her aspirations to become an MC or rapper. But I wonder at what cost. And some people might see that as admirable. You know, you had major losses in your family and yet you persisted, you kept going, you did not lose sight of the goals and where you wanted to be as far as your career. But I wonder at what cost. You know, did she even appropriately process what those experiences did to her? Early on in the documentary, she says something that made an impression on me. She said, I think Megan Thee Stallion is trying to protect Megan Pete. Megan Thee Stallion being her outwardly on-air persona, and Megan Pete being who she is, separate from all of that. I wonder if her creation of Megan Thee Stallion in one way or another was a way of dissociating from the pain that maybe she was trying to push down or avoid. Because Megan Thee Stallion, the rapper, the personality, the larger than life idea, takes a lot of energy, takes a lot of manpower, takes a lot of work to keep going and to sustain. And I feel like if she wanted to kind of continue to focus on that and remain distracted, she could. She could. But the thing with that is, even if you keep that going, no matter how long it takes, the truth will catch up to you. You know, what you're hiding from, what you're avoiding will catch up to you. And it looks like from the documentary that it got to a point where she could not avoid what was eating at her, what was trying to come up to the surface. And the signs were there. The signs were there, you know. It looks like she had good people, but there were folks who, at the end of the day, did not look out for her. You know, obviously, Tory Lanez, who harmed her in a way that changed her life, you know. Her former best friend, Kelsey, who did not have her back as far as the whole situation with them and Tory Lanez and the aftermath that fell apart. You know, many personalities in the industry, which maybe she thought were on her side, she found out the truth. So she has gone through a lot. She has gone through a lot, and the body keeps the score. You know, it got to a point where she could not avoid everything that she had been. I can't speak for her, obviously, but just based off of what I saw in that documentary, it got to a point where she just had to face everything head on. And I'm happy for her that she finally did. Because I'm just wondering, did she ever process the deaths of her mom and her dad and her grandmother? You know, or was she just so engrossed in everything Megan Thee Stallion that she didn't until she had to? You know, I'm just wondering about these things. And one thing that I was not happy to see, and that made me feel sad for her, is there were folks around her who did not really give her the space to rest and recuperate and kind of process, whether it's things immediately in front of her or things deep down. One instance in particular is when she was rehearsing for a show, I believe, and she was telling her choreographer that she did not feel well. She was nauseous. She felt like she was going to throw up. And the choreographer told her, I guess she was trying to motivate her, but honestly, it came off to me like coaxing or borderline coercion. She was telling her that, she sees potential in Megan that she has only seen in the greatest of performers. And I wouldn't say that's wrong. I wouldn't say that statement is incorrect, but I think the context around that conversation she was having with Megan it was not the time. It was not the time. She needs rest. She needs rest. She goes nonstop to the point where she is neglecting the signals that her body is giving her. Her body is telling her she needs to rest, but her choreographer is telling her she has the potential for greatness, which I don't doubt. I don't discount that. And I think she also said something along the lines of, this is the life you have to live to achieve that greatness. But I was like, 1 hour? You can't give her 1 hour to just sit and rest her body. If she needs to vomit, let her do that. It just rubbed me the wrong way. And I think it sends the wrong message. I'll sleep when I die or things like that. No, you need rest. You need rest. I was just like, you can't give her 1 hour to just get herself to take a nap. I'm laughing, but honestly, I did not find it funny. I didn't find it funny. It just sends the wrong message, in my opinion. I think the choreographer said, do you need a bucket? Just in case she vomits while she's dancing. Like, that is not safe, and it's not fair to Megan. I don't know, for the documentary to come out within the last month, I'm sure they filmed majority of it maybe earlier this year or last year. Some of it was last year too, because they definitely dug deep into the trial. But I just wonder if Megan, in kind of doing some of the overdue and necessary work, I wonder if she has made some decisions around the people that she keeps close to her, if she's made any changes as far as her team and her support staff who prioritize her well-being and her mental and emotional state over her productivity and what she's able to do and how quickly she's able to do it. Because you're only able to keep up that pace for so long. It's not sustainable. So, I hope she has the right people around her, and I wish her nothing but the best. Just a couple more things. I thought it was crazy. You think you know what's going to happen, but then you get to the point where you look back and you're like, wow, there's no way I could have anticipated things unfolding this way. I was thinking that when they showed the split screen of P. Diddy talking to Tory Lanez, and I was like, wow, both of these guys are in jail right now. It's amazing how things can just completely be turned on their heads and shift, and just the way you think life will go one way and it goes completely the opposite way. Although, looking back, I feel like maybe it was just a matter of time. But When they were showing all the men and all the different personalities who were talking, against Megan, who were unsupportive of her, there was like this like montage, and there was a quick showing of Tory Lanez on Instagram Live with P. Diddy. And I was like, wow. Who could have anticipated this, So life is funny, really. I really liked the animation that they incorporated into the documentary. I think they captured Megan's beauty in a really realistic way. She's a beautiful girl. And it doesn't surprise me. The little bit that I know based off of what she shares with the masses, it looks like she's a fan of like anime, and it definitely had like an anime-ish quality. So I thought that was cool too. And another quote that she said in the documentary that stuck in my head was, "A man is not about to be my downfall." I was like, if there is never another true statement, oh my God. That is honestly, low key, that's an inspiring statement. That's a very like empowering statement for women. A man is not about to be my downfall. I will let almost anything else be the case. But I'm not about to fall short. I'm not about to question myself. I'm not about to second guess what I want to do. I'm not about to change my mind about anything because of a man. So she said that. I was like, oh, I need to write that down. Because I think it's a reminder. It's a reminder to us as women. It's a reminder to us as Black women. We have our inner voice. We have our intuition. We have our ability to discern. We have lessons that we've learned. We know what we want to do, and we need to do a better job. We need to be more aware of the decisions we make, whether it's truly from us, or is it being influenced in a negative way by external forces, in this case, a man? Are we being true to ourselves, or are we compromising because of a man? Are we doing what we want to do? Are we doing what makes us happy, or are we selling ourselves short because of a man? So yeah, I just wanted to quickly talk about the documentary. It was really well done. It looks like it was directed by a Nigerian creative, Nneka Onwara, I believe her name is. So shout out to her. She's doing amazing work. And yeah, like I said, I wish Megan nothing but the best. I hope she has the right people around her. I hope she has, it looks like she still has some extended family, so that's good. And, I will continue to send her positive vibes and pray for her. So I'm going to end the podcast here. Thank you guys so much for listening, as always. Please share, please recommend to folks who you think will appreciate this episode or past episodes. Please reach out to me if you have any questions, if you have anything you'd like my input that you don't mind me sharing on the podcast. The email is contact@thelettersandlayers.com. Again, contact@thelettersandlayers.com. Please reach out to me at amaka_ag. Please review on your preferred listening platform if this episode or past episodes have positively impacted you, or if you've enjoyed them. And as always, thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate you all, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Bye.